So today I'm going to answer a specific question that someone wrote on my video previous to this one that was such a good question because I think in answering it for all of you, it's going to clear up some of the confusion that a lot of you have about the seemingly contradictory advice that you're hearing about manifesting a specific person. And even though this question is about a specific person, it also applies to anything that you're manifesting that you still feel a little bit like about or a little uncomfortable about. So we're going to get into it and I'm going to explain so that in a deeper part of your consciousness you understand how this is really working and what you really need to do to manifest your specific person. And before we dive in deeper, I will introduce myself for those of you who might be new to this channel. You're just clicking on me for the first time. My name is Genevieve. I'm a manifestation coach. And on this channel, we talk a lot about the law of assumption, but just anything in general that's going to help you to manifest better, to get out of any suffering that you've developed in your patterns with manifesting. We talk about that kind of stuff here. In the description below, I have links for courses, and I highly recommend the courses. They are very in-depth and they're very different than most other manifestation courses. And I recommend those because they're going to help you sustain a longer shift over time. Of course, there's also an option to do a call with me, but we can only talk about so much in the calls. And I think the courses are going to help you to have that more deeper experiential shift that I really want you guys to have to actually manifest the results you want. So anyway, there's all kinds of links below for different ways that you can connect with me. I also have a membership portion of this channel where I post more trainings. I give more in-depth walkthroughs of techniques. I do meditations there. There's just more in-depth trainings and tools for you to use on the membership portion. So if you want to do more of that with me, that's a great thing to get involved in. And I think that's good. I'm just going to stop there because I really want to talk about this. So first I'm just going to read her question. It was kind of a long comment that she wrote on the last video, so I'm just going to read parts of it that I think are relevant, and then we're going to answer this question. So she wrote, I'm at a stage where I genuinely feel quite happy at times, and not because I'm in a 4D relationship, but more because life in itself is quite fulfilling and stimulating regardless, and I care less about my desire. And I feel sad for the person I was who pretended to be happy and performed all of last year. Then she goes on to talk about how she was affirming too much and she was really in a desperate state last year. And then she says, what I'm hearing in this video, the last video she commented on, is largely where I'm at. The only tripping point is you stated that we should still be affirming for desire/SP in a separate video, albeit not all the time. I am definitely triggered when I affirm or focus on SP as it feels like I'm trying to get something. I'd like to think I could just do me and he will come back. So I'm sure a lot of you are really into reading success stories, especially success stories about manifesting specific people. And in some of those success stories, I'm sure you do read people say things on the internet like, yeah, I just focused on me. I didn't focus on him at all. I didn't affirm for him. I just did my self-concept. And then, eventually he came back. But that is not always the case for a lot of people who are manifesting specific people. In fact, in my experience with my clients, I often see that when they get to that point, that they focus just on their self-concept because they're so frustrated with their SP. They're so frustrated. They're in so much suffering over the process of trying to manifest their SP that they kind of give up. But what they're actually doing is they're just trying to take their focus off of it, trying to avoid their focus on that relationship because it causes them suffering. And instead of, okay, I'm just going to focus on my self-concept. And they think that it's going to manifest the SP back, but oftentimes it doesn't, because when it comes to manifesting specific people, you have to remember that you have to choose consciously what your dynamic is to that person. And if you kind of left the dynamic on the note of, yeah, I'm so burnt out on this person. It still is hard. I've tried to manifest them and I feel even worse now after manifesting them or trying to manifest them than I did even before. And if you're kind of leaving the energy that you're pushing out into that dynamic, if you're leaving it on that note and then turning your awareness towards everything else, it's like that person they could come back in. And again, you've seen success stories where that does happen. But when that dynamic that you left it on is so strong, you didn't really include them in your newfound fulfillment that you're finding in your new self-concept, if you don't really include them in the new self-concept fulfillment, then they aren't really going to be able to come back in, because you, the conscious manifester, left it on the note of, yeah, everything else in my life is great, but this person, it just never worked out. And I tried to shift myself to feel better about them. I actually felt worse and it didn't go anywhere. And so now, you know, it just still sucks. And you still are in kind of a hopeless, you know, just kind of apathetic place. It's different for different people. But if that's what you're feeling towards that person, yeah, it's gonna maybe stay that way and that person can't come in there because that resistance towards them still exists. And so to help, to help even deeper with this, I'm laughing because this is my first time trying to employ like a written visual into my videos. But I wanted to draw this for you so that you could kind of get a visual of what I'm talking about. So say like the commenter wrote, say like 98% of her life, you know, she's developed a healthier self-concept towards, a healthier self-concept relationship towards. But because this stuff with SP never got fixed, and the reason that we know it never got fixed is because she said in her comment, whenever she even thinks of affirming for SP, she gets triggered. That means that SP has not been healthfully integrated into all of this fulfillment that she's feeling in the rest of her life. Like she said, she's feeling pretty good, she's feeling stimulated, she's feeling kind of joyful in her life again. But whenever it comes to SP, there's still this feeling of just like triggering, like he is not really included in all of this. He's been pushed to kind of the outskirts of your entire beingness. If you can read that, this is, I probably need to write bigger next time, but this says entire beingness and then fulfillment, yay. And before I put this down, I want to say again, this could, if you're not manifesting a specific person, this could be anything that you feel hasn't manifested yet and you're not really including in your total acceptance, total love, total sense of like, yep, everything's okay, everything's good. If you aren't including your health, for example, or your relationship with money, or another relationship or specific person or whatever, anything that you are keeping is like, yep, I feel good about most things, but I really don't feel good about this still. It's being pushed out there. It's like you are still in a false sense of separation from that person, a false sense of separation from that thing that you're hoping to manifest. So I want you to remember that the reason manifestation works is because you are separate from nothing. You are the entirety of consciousness having a singular human experience, but you are not separate. And it's the delusion, the fallacy that your SP is separate from you that keeps that SP, like I said, on the fringes of your fulfillment. You're saying, yep, all these other things are me, all these other things I extend my fulfillment to, all these other things I feel safe with, but SP, nope, I'm still separate from SP. I still feel triggered about SP. I still feel upset about these things, and these are the things I'm upset about when it comes to SP, and that's why they cannot come back in. So this is why, as you've heard me say in other videos, like that commenter said, I say you do need to put some sort of practice in place to start including SP into your fulfillment. Because if you are kind of just avoiding it because it's just gotten too painful and you're just like, yep, I just can't even think about them, I can't affirm for them, it's too painful to even think about them, that is, you have to acknowledge like, okay, that's me thinking that my SP is still separate, that my SP is still somewhere out there, and I'm being controlled by the out there-ness and the past and anything I'm perceiving from the past that I'm still taking as real, because really all of reality is simply your experience and you are everything. You just are. So it's your responsibility to notice, okay, I feel fulfilled maybe in 90% of my life, but if I really want to expand my knowing of myself as the operant power, my knowing of myself that I really can have all the things I want, I need to take responsibility for that 10%. I need to become even more consciously aware in a loving, non-judgmental way of what is that 10% of stuff that I'm still saying, yep, that's not really, I can't look at that. That's too painful. That's not working out for me. This is more powerful than me. This particular specific person, yep, that relationship, I guess, is just more powerful than all the other ones, because whenever I think about that specific relationship with that specific person, it triggers me much more than the other relationships in my life. So that's a sign. And that's also why, that is why the SP has not come in. And so it can be misleading to think that, yep, just work on my self-concept, just totally think about, you know, other things, and then magically the SP will come back. But it's like, they can't come back if you aren't consciously looking at them in your inner world. I mean, I'm looking out here as well, but it's really an inner experience you're having that you're directing obviously at them, towards them. And you're saying everything between us is safe and everything between us is loving, and not just like in a passive way. It has to be an active thing, like that you are actively choosing to participate in your own relationship to that person in a way that's exposing you to the dynamic with them in a new, different, totally new way that has nothing to do with the old way. And also I want to clarify something, because I've seen a few other comments bring this up, because something that I say a lot, because it helps me to remember that like nothing is out there, everything's in here. So a thing that I say a lot is that we're not ever doing something to get something. And I'm saying that specifically to what I just said. We're not doing something internally as if the out there, the external world, is separate from us and is going to give us some special fulfillment that we're not feeling internally, if that makes sense. When I say don't do something to get something, what I mean is people can sometimes be affirming, just as that commenter mentioned. And it's almost like their internal state is not shifting. Like their internal state is like, it's just getting more and more impatient, more and more desperate, more and more looking around like, okay, I've been affirming for like a week or 2 weeks or months or whatever. Like, where is it? That's what I mean by that attitude of thinking that you're doing something to get something, where you're not actually shifting. You're just kind of going through the motions. You're just doing lots of techniques, but you're not really absorbing them. You're not really allowing the technique to come into your own consciousness and truly shift you into the inner reality where you already have that, where you already feel at peace about that, you already feel relief about that, you already feel alive in the dynamic that you are claiming that you have. And you're not relying on the 3D at all to prove it to you. So that's how we actually manifest. But I want to say, it is okay to know that eventually the 3D is going to mirror you. Of course, that's what we're doing here. We're manifesting reality, which means that the 3D reality is eventually going to mirror us. But I personally don't put a lot of emphasis on 3D outcomes, because that is where most people get really, really stuck, is they can't stop fixating on 3D outcomes. And so they are, again, they're not really focusing on themselves and their own inner experience in a healthy way. They just continue to fixate on the outside, and they're doing a lot in an attempt to fix the outside instead of in a healthy attempt to fix. It's not really fixing, it's more you're shifting, you're going into a different state of consciousness on the inside. And I'm bringing this up in this video because it's true that when you genuinely shift, when you genuinely do feel like, okay, I've been doing a practice and the practice has been helping me shift, and now I just relate to this person differently. I just relate to my SP differently. I just feel a different kind of safety towards them. I just feel like, yeah, like there is easy love and commitment, and because I feel it within me, and I feel it within me towards them. And even if they weren't around me at all, it's like I just feel my own relationship in this very just like strong way. So that's how you know that you have shifted. And again, it's okay to know that the 3D is going to change, but it has to be you interacting with your own fulfillment, you including them in a very conscious, targeted, focused way in your own fulfillment. Because as I said in the beginning of this video, if you are kind of feeling fulfilled or feeling good about most stuff in your life, but you're still not feeling good about your specific person or about your health or about your job or blah, 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 pick the thing that it is you still don't feel good about, that's where you need to do your work. And that's why I say you do need to do something, like in terms of like some sort of like the only do is the practice. You need to choose a practice, and that might mean affirming for some people. That might mean doing sats for some people. That might mean doing meditations for some people. There's different approaches. You can even make up your own techniques, because it's not really the technique itself that matters, as you hear us say all the time. It is the effect the technique has on you as you build a more trusting relationship with yourself. Because if you still have a self-concept that includes like, yeah, most things I feel good about, but the things that were really important to me, like my SP, I still don't feel good about that, then you haven't actually really developed a true relationship to yourself as the operant power. Because again, like I said, if there's anything in your reality that you still don't feel good about, you need to focus on that thing that's triggering you. That's the thing you're still giving your power away to. And you need to consciously go within yourself, because you owe it to yourself. You deserve your own sense of relief in your experience. So you are going to work with yourself to be like, if I'm triggered about this thing or this person, I need to work on that. And the magical, cool thing about that is that person comes back to you once you finally clear away and process all of the old junk, and then you practice the new story in whatever way works for you. That is what's going to cause this. So I know that there's so much noise just in general in the manifestation world, which can be helpful and also not helpful, because it's helpful that there's lots of different voices, because there's different ways that resonate differently for different people. And so that's great that there's a lot of different ways offered on the internet. But if you're consuming too much information about manifestation, you're going to get too much contradictory stuff. But at the same time, there are lots of contradictions in manifesting in general. And that's why we say there's many paradoxes in manifesting. And that's also why you can be listening to the same coach and it sounds like she is contradicting herself, because there's a lot of seemingly contradictions, and that you are focusing on yourself. You are focusing on your self-concept. You are claiming that you don't need anything from reality. But at the same time, you're also not claiming that reality is separate from you. Like, you're claiming that like you are everything. And the reason you don't need anything from reality is because you know all of it starts within here, and that reality just reflects it to you later. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. But anyway, I hope this really cleared up for you why you, of course, do need to focus dominantly on your self-concept. It's not healthy to be doing tons and tons of affirmations or tons and tons of focus. Like, if your whole day is focused mostly on your SP, that's not a good thing that's going to manifest. That's just fixation and limerence, and it's not really going to manifest well. But you do need to be doing something that's a healthy boundaried practice that's going to help you to develop that relationship that you finally feel alive in. Because when you're alive in what you want, that's when you actually get what you want. So there, but most of your day, I do want you to be focused on yourself in terms of your just foundation of self-concept. So I also, I'll say here, I highly recommend for those of you who are manifesting a specific person to do the 31-day self-concept challenge that I have in the link below. There's so many tools in there, because that will help you to be able to get that foundation that I'm talking about like just having your foundation with you, but then also teaching you how to have room for, how do you affirm for the outside things you want, even though they're not outside, but the physical things that you want that are really still within you, but they have a physical form outside of you as well. So I highly recommend that if you want to practice this deeper. That is it for today, I believe. So thank you so much for watching this. Please comment below any thoughts or questions or just things you've got to say about all of this. And I will see you in my next video. All right, bye.